So, you know luck, right? Like winning the lottery, or falling out of a tree, and then winning the lottery. Or if a building falls on you, okay, the lottery feels a little late. Anyway, this is the story of one of the luckiest and dumbest person in history. Oh wait, I won! I won! Timothy Dexter was born in 1747 in Malden, Massachusetts. And he leaves school young, but to be fair, that was normal back then. Kids often had to start working early. So he becomes a laborer, an ordinary but dismal start, for a man who is about to fail upward. Later, he marries Elizabeth Frothingham. Wait, was that her actual name? Yeah, just roll with it. Okay, I guess. A wealthy widow. And just like that, he's rich. No grind or higher education, just a solid sugar mama. But now he's convinced he belongs in government, because according to him, that's what wealthy, dignified men do. Timothy constantly pesters everyone and anyone working at his local government to give him a dignified job. He bugs them to no end until they finally give in and give him a job title. That title? Informer of deer. His job? To track deer in the local area. There's just one problem. That part of Massachusetts didn't have a single deer. Completely missing the "this is a fake job, now please disappear" subtext, Timothy approaches the assignment with unwavering dedication. Proof that you can, in fact, be a dumbass in government and still collect a very real paycheck. So there's Timothy 10xing his informer of deer job. Writing, or what he proudly considered writing, which in reality was just determined scribbling from a man entirely incapable of the skill he believed he had. Drawing and documenting a bunch of absolutely nothing. Because again, no deer. And what he lacked in skill and common sense, he made up for with confidence. A for effort, if you will. But at the start of this episode, I said he was lucky, not just crazy. Here's where that kicks in. After the Revolutionary War, dollars became worthless because the government printed so much of it that people collectively realized it wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. People were literally burning it. Timothy buys a ton of it anyway. Everyone laughs until the government backs up the money with credibility and wins people's confidence in its worth again. And Timothy becomes super rich. At this point, the rich businessmen in the area get word of Timothy's ridiculous wealth gains and are annoyed. And they're playing by the business rulebook, and good old Timothy is throwing darts and hitting the bullseye. And they try to sabotage him. First, they tell him to send bed warmers to the Caribbean. I'm pausing here to let that sink into just how dumb of a business strategy that is. Except the Caribbeans decide to use them for handling hot molasses, which is a huge industry there, and Timothy's bank account gets crazy impressive. Oh boy, now the businessmen are really ticked. So they tell Timothy to sell coal to Newcastle in England, a place already full of coal. Timothy thanks the businessmen for their advice because he's completely clueless on their true intentions, and goes all in on coal for Newcastle, because everyone gets ready to point and laugh at Timothy, except that the Newcastle coal miners go on strike. And now Newcastle suddenly needs coal, and a lot of it, and Timothy profits big. Again. At this point, luck is just managing his career. Now people are going out of their way to give him bad advice just to get his wealthy dumb butt out of their faces. They advise him very loudly, very sarcastically, to go sell cats to the Caribbean because the island is overrun with rats. But once again, this backfires because it turns out that island is actually dealing with a huge rat problem, and the cats sell extremely well, and never ching for good old Tim Dexter. Now extremely rich and fully convinced he's a genius, he writes a book, A Pickle for the Knowing Ones. No punctuation and no structure, just chaos. Here's an actual page. When people complain it is more or less illegible, he adds a page at the end of the book full of punctuation marks and tells readers to sprinkle them in whenever they see fit. You know what happened if I tried on my next English assignment? And that's Timothy Dexter, a man with no real plan or no real skill, but an unbelievable winning streak. So if your next $1 million idea sounds terrible from accidentally being totally spot on, like and subscribe and go invest in something questionable. Apparently, that's the winning strategy.